Passing and Racial Passing versus a Simulation by Thomas Riley. Passing is a novel by the author Nella Larsen and was first published in 1929. The book is about how uncertain reality is and how many people struggle with identity. The story takes place in New York during the 1920s and is about two friends, Claire Kendry and Irene Redfield, who are fascinated with each other's lives. The title refers to racial passing, which was a big element of the novel and was practiced by many immigrant families in the 1920s. In the novel, the main character, Claire, tries to pass as white to her husband when she is mixed race. A quote from Passing: "It's funny about passing. We disapprove of it and at the same time condone it. It excites our contempt and yet we rather admire it. We shy away from it with an odd kind of revulsion, but we protect it." This quote shows how people viewed racial passing, but also shows how common it was. Many people use racial passing just to get by. Nella Larsen was an American novelist and was born April 13, 1891, with the birth name Nellie Walker, but later took the last name of her stepfather. She was born in a poor district of South Chicago called the Levee. Her mother was Petterlin Marie Hansen, who was a Danish immigrant, and her father was Peter Walker, who was African Caribbean. This played a big role in her early life along with her writing. More on Nella Larsen. Nella Larsen is recognized as one of the most influential writers of the Harlem Renaissance. Because of the success from her two novels, Quicksand and Passing, she became very famous in New York. In 1919, Nella married Elmer Eames, who was a psychiatrist and was the second African American to earn his PhD in physics. A year after the two got married, Nella released her first short story, and the couple then moved to Harlem. The couple started having problems in the late 1920s because Elmer had an affair, and they got a divorce shortly after. Some other works by Nella Larsen include The Soul of a Woman, Quicksand, The Complete Fiction of Nella Larsen, which includes many short stories, and An Imitation of Things Different. Racial passing was common with immigrant families in the 18th and 19th century. Passing is when a person who is a member of one racial group is perceived as a member of a different racial group. In the novel Passing, Irene Redfield is an African-American female, but has a European look, and this helps her keep her status in the story. A quote by Robert Fikes online states, "Routinely shocking and sometimes lurid in detail, reports abound over 3 countries of mixed-race persons lacking discernible African heritage masquerading as white. A Vassar student who proceeded toward graduation as informed school officials looks the other way. The man who abandoned his family in Atlanta and became a leading voice for fascism in the United States. A syndicated cartoonist who took his secret to the grave. An attorney who also changed his name and did not return home until retiring from a prosperous career on Wall Street." This quote is from an article by Robert Fikes and speaks on examples of how people would use racial passing in their lives to seek jobs they would not normally be able to have in the 1920s. Simulation is when a group or individual of a different heritage change their habits and attitude towards an embracing culture. This is extremely different from racial passing because passing is when you lie about your heritage and where you are from, because the culture in the early 1900s was not embracing at all.